Well, hello. I see that you don't like the anarcho-capitalist. Uh, and I thought that your arguments were kind of bullshit, to be honest. I mean, you compared anarcho-capitalism to feudalism. I just, as a little thought experiment for myself, I know what feudalism is. I know what you're talking about, but I could not see the correlation that you were trying to build, and I thought you did a lousy job of drawing any type of correlation between feudalism and anarcho-capitalism. So I looked it up. I looked up the definition so I could read exactly what it says. Feudalism, a political and economic system of Europe from the 9th to about the 15th century, based on the holding of all land and or land of free and the resulting retaliation of lord to vassal, and characterized by homage, legal, and military service of the tenants, and forfeiture. This would not be able to exist in an anarcho-capitalist society. Absolutely complete opposite, because in a voluntaristic society where only things happen by other people volunteering to do it, nobody would join some system. The only type of system that could ever be created that's even similar to what that just said is some huge corporation coming in and having a whole bunch of wealth, and it's this big one fat fucking rich guy who thinks he can come in and buy up the town and buy up all the fucking people and give them all jobs and say, well, you got to do what I'm telling you to because there are no laws, blah, 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 blah. That can't happen. It is impossible for that to ever happen. It could have happened in the past. It has happened in the past. It couldn't happen anymore. Not without government siding and subsidizing them. We have evolved past that because of information and because of the internet. You can create a movement out of fucking nothing nowadays. I mean, Ron Paul was nowhere near the most popular candidate up there. And we raised the single most money for that motherfucker in a day because of the internet. It's because we spread the message around and all of us were, hey, I'll donate $20. And we all donated $20, and it was the largest single donation to a political candidate in the history of the United States. I mean, and he wasn't that everybody was against Ron Paul. But it shows the power of the internet. If some guy came up in your community and he was making some coffee filters, and he was using slave labor to make those coffee filters, and he was demanding that all these people defend the corporation with all these guns or something like that and killed anybody that came in there, but somebody down the road made coffee filters, guess who we're going to buy the fucking coffee filters from? Because one day we're going to have a little fucking thing on your phone that everything that you buy, anything, you're going to be able to look up a little review on that. And you're going to be able to see what other people talked about, just like Amazon.com, and it's going to be fucking everywhere. You're probably not even going to have to think about it. It's just going to automatically pop in your head. So if you do something that's fucked up, you do something that's wrong in a community, that community is no longer going to support you. Now, I can't tell you how that would be punished. I can't tell you that the community would just stop buying things from you, or that they would somehow have these digital posters of you pop up and say all the bad things that you've done or something like. I don't know what the answer would be, but it would probably resemble something like Amazon.com, where it's all these different types of Amazons, and you go to the one that you trust, just like you go to Google to find out information. It would be based off of, community reviewed stuff, and you wouldn't be able to get away with that bullshit anymore. Now, that's my defense of the anarchy part, which I feel like you were kind of in the anarchy mindset. I'm not exactly sure where you're coming from. I think that you did a terrible job of, standing up for what you actually believe in instead of just, cutting down what everybody else is. But maybe that was the point of this one video. I didn't go watch the rest of your shit, so who knows. But my second point that I wanted to make is about the capitalism part, how you were attacking the capitalism part. In any system that we have, like an exchange of anything, besides bartering, you have to have some type of medium. And the way that I propose, and the way that Austrian economists propose this of happening, is that you have competing currencies. You have a currency that says, well, my currency is backed in gold. And this guy says, well, my currency is backed in diamond. And this guy says, well, my currency is backed in grain. And this guy says, blah, 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 blah. And they're arguing about whose currency is best. And you decide, you look at the market and you say, well, gold's been going up a lot, but, grain, I feel like we might go through a shortage pretty soon or something like that. And you might want to invest in grain. And so your whole bank account gets set up in grain dollars, and these grain dollars are competing against the gold dollars. And the thing is that they would be, like counterfeit proof. Because why would you invest in a currency that's easily counterfeited? It's these types of government controls that allow for things like counterfeiting to happen. So the problems that, a lot of the problems I feel like you're addressing are being addressed in this idea that, oh, well, capitalism is this terrible thing because look at what's going on now and look at what's always happened in the past. We have a historical record. Well, your historical record is riddled in government intrusion and subsidies and central banking and authoritarianism and totalitarianism and oligarchies, and anarcho-capitalism has never really existed. Just like laissez-faire capitalism had never really existed before America came about in the early years of America. It just has not been around. There's nothing to compare it to, and there's nothing that I'm going to be able to say to you that is an exact definition of it, because it's something that would be fluid. It's something that would keep changing as people volunteered to do that thing. I think that we're seeing an evolution of thought, because even though I feel like you were a complete dumbass in your video and you don't really know what you're talking about, which I'm sure you think the same thing about me, but the whole idea that we're going to be isolated in this government-controlled system for very much longer, I think is nonsense. I mean, all this stuff is imploding. We're seeing everything go to shit, and I think that a voluntaristic society is the only way we're going to end up being able to go into with information and the way to spread how corrupt everybody is. And with that, you have to think about, well, okay, so in an anarchist society without a central bank producing any goods, how am I going to exchange anything with somebody down the road that doesn't really care for my guitar, or doesn't really care for, my Guitar Hero, or fucking drum set bullshit or something like that. They don't want that. They just want fucking food. And I'm not a very good farmer because I was raised in this fucking age where, half the fucking people don't know how to fucking farm. So, I can't get what I need from that guy. It'd just be easier with a currency. And whenever you have competing currencies like I was describing earlier, you can't have corruption because corruption gets called out. You get sued in arbitration court. I mean, there's all these free market type of ideas that you can apply that you're not even trying to consider. You're not even looking up the other side of what you're talking about, and you're acting like you're some type of fucking expert or something. And you're like putting your hands on your hair. You're like, oh my god, I can't stand it. Oh shit. It's just, you need to fucking go read some Henry Hazlitt, dude. You need to read some economist. Because what you're talking about is all based in an emotional reaction to the current state of things. Like, get out of that bullshit. Go read some fucking books and understand the economics behind what you're talking about. Because without the economics, without a set of, thought behind the principle behind your economic philosophy, your social philosophy, your argument fucking breaks down. And in my opinion, you had a weak ass argument, and that's probably why I made this video, because I never make videos, but your shit sucked. So, anyways.